How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm Lindsay Hazen,
Okay,
and this is Chris.
nice to meet you. Somebody stepped there.
I'm Olivia Young, covering Colorado first.
Single winning ticket for last night's monster Powerball jackpot, it was worth over $2 billion.
Yeah.
Just Los Angeles, the winning numbers announced this was delayed. That caused a lot.
The radio is coming through.
We'll split it up.
It's the largest ever lottery prize.
Background noise.
More than 11.
Okay.
Or sold, so check your number, see if you want one of the smaller prizes.
How's that?
Much better, thank you.
Sorry about that.
How are you this?
I'm a total news junkie and I have election things on and stuff. Going, oh, hey, Adams County, huh?
Okay, Lindsay, what's your last name?
Hazen,
How you spell that?
H-A-Z-E-B-R.
And is it L-I or L-Y?
L-Y.
L-Y. And what was your name?
Chris Cordova.
C-O-R.
D-O-V-A.
Okay, thank you. Are you guys gonna want to talk under audience business?
Is that the first 5 minutes?
That'll be, yeah, and then you have 5 minutes to talk.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, great.
No, I waste too much time.
Appreciate you guys' time.
Oh, sure.
Did anybody see the total eclipse last night?
I didn't get up for it. I'm always,
That's you.
I thought, very cool. Lately, I've been happy if I don't wake up at that time of night and can't get back to sleep.
Exactly.
I have these little 4-footed furry alarm clocks that run around and keep me functional.
Okay. Hey, Rick. Good, thanks. How are you doing? Good.
Lindsay, I
Yes.
the other day.
Tonight, good. Hi, Chris. Chris, nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. Great. Well, glad you guys are here.
Definitely.
How's the dirt moving going?
I took lots of pictures.
So good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a lot of work done today. They removed a ton of trash. Probably the dirt pile's half it's done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, got some. I guess you just have to shake the right trees. So, and then I have a meeting with Brittany on Monday. So that's another. It's taking a long time to do.
Hey, Rick, is there any news on getting that sidewalk on 8th Street done?
Yes,
The one
that will be worked on next week.
Well, they were hoping for months ago, and
Yeah.
And then it was hoping for Halloween, and
Yeah, unfortunately, my hands are tied with their scheduling. They were in Silverthorne and they finished that project, so they're here. But the equipment that's necessary to do that project on 8th Street, they'll have by next week. So they started today on Rose, and so they're going to be doing the concrete pans down Rose from 11th to 15th. So they started today there.
I just wasn't sure if the sidewalk was counted in on the ditchy things,
Yep, it'll be part of the part of this project. Concrete's okay. It's the asphalt that's not.
Mm-hmm.
How's your week been?
Me?
Yes.
I've been stupidly busy with nothing important. It sounds dumb, but I watch other people's pets while they're away, and it seems like that snow a couple weeks ago spooked everybody, and so now they're all trying to get these last-minute trips in. I've only been home a couple days each week.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah.
Keep everybody from falling asleep.
How you doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
Good.
How are you?
Good.
Well, it looks like we may get some snow tomorrow instead of Thursday.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
Tomorrow evening is what it says.
Yeah,
30 to 50% chance.
interesting.
It will change constantly.
Between 2 and 16 inches.
I mean, that's gonna be a good job to predict that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Mr. Jennings.
Hey there, John. Great, thanks.
Over here this time, John.
We can.
Yeah, which side on? They're gonna keep it as. Man, you gotta be moving all the time. Once you get older. One guy's right in the house. Oh.
To the generation. Guys, you want the dogs that I passed? Yeah.
Back to the corner.
I don't know how time.
Good on.
So Mary, why don't you catch him as he's walking in?
Howdy.
How are you?
Hey there, Rob.
Hey, Rob. Still here.
You don't get to play music on Tuesday,
Hey.
and John.
No, I feel.
I know.
One of these days, we're gonna be outside, we're gonna rock in here.
Maybe just.
Hey there, Rich.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
Mr. Burrows.
a referee shirt on.
Yeah, couple minutes. We're recording. Yeah.
I'll be
Okay.
official then.
Okay.
Tuesday night.
Oh, it's a calendar, that's good.
I thought of it, it's actually not.
What the hell, Mary?
Say, I only come in with nice stuff,
This
okay?
is awesome.
I know, but again, my note, I'd rather focus on the content than the. Well, but that's just what, that's Iowa Springs. They got one. Kidding.
It's awesome. Great
Well-
idea.
Yeah.
No, just end of your report, that's my focus, not the,
Mm-hmm.
Flashiness.
no,
You don't-
we're not into flash.
Oh, come on, that's the joy.
Let's save our money, we don't have to be. Those little,
No, I didn't.
so good anyway.
It's all about setting expectations.
That's right.
I don't know where we're at. Slumming.
Never. The county suite.
It's been a minute.
It's be wild and go without.
It was risky out there. You know, it's-
What could go wrong?
Or yes, or
That's it.
If you have to wait a lot.
Oh, yeah. It's lucked out on that one today.
They don't do it till 2. Could happen.
It's it.
And an inch and a half of snow.
Exactly. That's what Rick was saying. And
Yeah,
earlier.
it just kind of shifted for a while. It was Thursday. Now it's Wednesday.
Anticipation.
I love it so.
Make it white.
No, I found her rain boots. And then I put, there's kind of ice guards on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that now she doesn't have to worry about falling.
Yeah.
Just
But the fact was you had to build some.
Extra warm sock.
extra. ones, so.
Wool, alpaca, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, we've done all the chit chat now, we kill time.
Rock and roll.
So what?
You can catch up.
We don't have a quorum.
What?
We don't have a quorum.
We have
got
a
those
quorum.
Yeah, I got you up there.
You can keep my mouth shut. Tonight I'll keep my mouth shut.
Please don't.
Yeah.
We need someone to start in that.
Right? Exactly.
Someone overtime.
Well, we could.
I'm texting him now.
Okay.
He can't text and drive.
I know.
Probably garage.
He'll watch him do that.
Funny, he'd been here and left. I
Oh,
thought
no, no,
that's
no.
his book.
Yes, that's the book that he uses during the meetings,
Oh,
but Jennifer puts it there for him.
Got it.
So he doesn't have to haul the book back and forth.
Aren't you glad you came in this fine evening? Yes.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, when you couldn't believe it online, now we're live and in color.
Yeah.
That just makes you want to come every time.
tons more contentious. Yeah, a lot of-
Right. Yeah, there's always a YouTube video of some like.
They're all away.
You're good. You're good.
You're all, you don't trust me, right?
You don't trust me. Somebody kicked me signs on into my back.
Okay, it is 6:02. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Georgetown to order. It is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. And did I already say the time, 6:02? And let's go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next, we'll do roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, Police Judge. Rob Brown,
Here.
Deanne Howell,
Present.
John Jennings.
Here.
Paul Hinton,
Here.
Mary Smith, and Rich Barrows.
Here,
Thank you. Agenda approval. Do we have anything that we need to add to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to add an appointment to Business Promotions Commission,
Okay.
the esteemed Craig Abrahamson. Well, if I had an email, I wouldn't have to call you out like that, Craig, but since you're here in presence, in person, and
We're gonna build you up.
I don't, I know, but I'm putting you on the spot, I think
We'll let you down,
He's trying to hide.
right?
Okay.
I'd like to put something somewhere so that we can discuss adding in actually dealing with this sound problem into the budget. Is there, I tried to listen to the
Work session.
what?
We have a budget work session after our regular meeting.
Okay, that's good enough.
So. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended, dated November 8th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda.
Yes, we'll be very quick. I'm Lindsay Hazen. I'm the owner at 1776 Main Street. This is Chris Cordova. He's the renter at 1776 Main Street. In the past, we have short-term rented our basement space. That's kind of a room share rental. And it has been talking with Rick, it has come to our realization that Chris now rents the space and he would like to short-term rent the basement. Come to our realization that kind of cannot apply for a short-term rental permit. So all we're asking at this point is if the board would be willing to task the staff to look into this issue, if it would be possible to potentially revise the code or look into, are there opportunities where we could allow tenants to apply for a short-term permit?
Okay, all right.
What ward are you in?
Ward 3.
Is there a waiting list for three?
There's an availability.
There is.
Yeah, historically, since it was our principal residence, you're exempt from the limitation. And so we're, is there a way that Chris as a tenant being now is his principal
It's my
residence,
primary residence at this point.
could he apply for the permit?
Why don't you want to stay there longer than short term, right?
Yes, so it's a 3-bedroom upstairs, and like she said, the basement is they were historically doing a short-term rental with it. And we'd like to continue that.
Okay, got it.
So we're renting the upstairs and we'd like to continue the short-term rental.
I see, I see. Thanks. It is understand.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think we've got a few suggestions for things to look at for revisions to our short-term rental regulations, so we'll add that to the list. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Stay safe out there.
Thank you very much.
It's cold out there. It's like we live in a bad neighborhood. It's just cold. It's
The
cold.
Bears, it's the Bears.
The bear catchers.
It's the Chicago Bears, what are they? Roman
Scary.
No, not lately.
Next, we have the payables. The payables that we have in front of us tonight are from October 21st through November 3rd, 2022. Any comments or questions on the payables?
I have a question.
Yes, Paul.
Right under administration on the first page, Axiom monthly IT charge, is that a charge every month for 12 months?
Yeah.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. I see your hand, Dan. You're muted, Dan. Can't hear you.
On page 3 at 40-40695, there are 2 survey charges. Why are there 2? Why isn't it 1?
They built, for some reason, I never received the first bill. And I don't remember, it was the 11,000. It was never turned over to me. I don't know if it was sent to someone else. But then when they finished it up, they billed it into the total contract for that survey was $15,000.
This is for the Argentine North project. That you had to get a preliminary survey to locate right of ways and utility lines.
It's just how it was billed. Any other questions? If that's all the questions, who would like to make a motion to approve the payables from October 21st through November 3rd, 2022 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the payables. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Okay, the minutes we have tonight to approve are from our regular meeting. The last one was on October 25th, 2022. Any comments, questions, corrections? Yes, Deanne.
Okay. At the bottom of page 3, the request for a proposed auditor, one of the items that came up when we were discussing is that we wanted to deal with the same person every time, and that was pretty important. I'd like some note of that to be added to that paragraph. And on page 4, in the staff items between the open house, which is right about in the middle of the page, and Clear Creek Fire Authority, there were 3 different other items discussed, one of which was that Joe Nagoose wanted to be put on the agenda. I didn't catch when, but I was wondering if that happened and how we could add that into this comment. And the Excel trash rack thing, all of that needs to be in there someplace too, because we don't want our energy museum decommissioned. And I'm still pushing for, I want to read an EIS on the whole Excel project. And that's not in there anyplace.
Okay.
And then on page 5, the amount that of the salary change, there's a numeral missing. My understanding was it was $129,950. And the notes say 129,9953. So there's some confusion there and it needs fixed.
Yeah, we're gonna create, that was a typo, I'll create, correct the amount for his salary increase. And also, after the PTO should be hours instead of days, so that'll be fixed.
So you said three things to insert between open house and Clear Creek Fire Authority, IGA.
Yeah.
I've
Joe
got-
Nagoose wanted to be on the, on our agenda. And we probably need an update on that, but for the purpose of the minutes, that needs to be in there. The paving and concrete work I asked Rick about before the meeting started, but that was, and
road project update.
yeah, and then Excel's trash rack, and that we don't want the energy museum.
I just need to have three. I only bought two of them. I don't remember you mentioning the road project update.
It's probable I didn't. I was more interested in Joe Nagoose and getting an EIS on the Excel stuff.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 25th, 2022 as corrected?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, with the changes.
Any opposed? Great. All right, first on our agenda of action items is resolution number 16, series 2022, and this is a public hearing. A resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, enacting a supplemental budget and appropriation in the fiscal year 2022 budget. Did you want to?
Sherry, could I ask you a quick question before?
Sure.
There is an item that got left off of that, supplemental. And you revise the resolution and add it, or does it have to be?
Oh, sure. Like any other action you take, you just finished approving the minutes with corrections. So just like an ordinance or resolution, as long as you memorialize it carefully in the motion to approve resolution number 16, series 2022 with following correction on page whatever.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Oops. It is 6:15 p.m. And do you want to start us off, Mary, or?
Yeah, these are just items, that, I mean, there were additional revenues that we could expend, and there are some items that were over budget or needed, came in afterwards, approved afterwards, that needed to, be accounted for. The one item that is not on here is the additional $100,000 that sales tax capital improvement is putting towards the Strauss Park improvements.
What was that going toward?
The Strauss Park improvement,
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Just the number.
100,000.
No,
The line item.
Will be 40. Forty, 6, 8, 1.
681.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Got it.
all right.
No comment?
All right, do we have anyone here for public comment? Anybody online? Nope. Excellent. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And it is 6:18 PM. Any comments or questions from the board on what you already had in Exhibit A plus what is being added? Okay, pretty straightforward.
I can suggest the motion.
Okay.
And that would be the motions in the packet with the addition of a new line 40-40-681, $100,000 sales tax capital improvement fund to Strauss Park improvements. So when you would read the motion and then say with the addition of line 40-40-681, whoever's going to make it, $100,000 from sales tax capital improvement to Strauss Park improvements. So who's going to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll move to approve resolution 16 series 2022. A resolution of the Board of Selectmen for the town of Georgetown, Colorado, enacting a supplemental budget and appropriation in the fiscal year 2022 budget 40-681, $100,000 to Strauss Park improvements from the sales tax capital improvement fund.
All right, I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 16, series 2022 with the amendments. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Next we have ordinance number 6, series 2022. And this is a second reading and public hearing. An ordinance amending chapter 13.70 of the Georgetown Municipal Code concerning cross-connection control regulations.
Open the public hearing.
Let's go ahead and open that public hearing. It is 6:20. And
Members of the board, you saw this on first reading last time. And the one question that was asked is whether this cross connection, these requirements apply to individual residences, and we checked with Ryan, and he says no. And for the rest of the staff report, I know Ryan is ready and willing and on the edge of a seat to give that report.
now he looks pretty laid back with me, but that doesn't mean he's not ready.
So you're on, Ryan.
Any questions? I guess I don't even know where to start with this. Yes, it's not for residences. I think we clarified that last meeting. It's just commercial and apartment buildings.
Okay, and that's because it's the state requirement. It's not necessarily written into our code. It's what gets handed down from
Yep,
CDT.
the state started this in 2016, and probably we should have been probably more ready for it at 2016. So that's, after a few years of a new program happening, you feel the bumps and the bruises along the way, and you try to rectify some of those, and setting dates and different things like that rectifies that a little bit.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Should we memorialize somewhere where it's just for commercial?
I guess,
It's in the CDPHE code. It's for basically all commercial and anything over a triplex. So duplexes are excluded, but triplexes are.
Got it, thank you.
so, I mean, I thought about that too, John, but the only, rather than specifying any particular category, if we were gonna memorialize anything like that, I was thinking in terms of leaving it very general, maybe only by reference of whatever cross contamination device testing and reporting is required by the state or any other entity, just to, so that it doesn't appear to apply to every single backflow prevention device in the town. So I don't know if you
Well, you might
feel the
consider,
need to do that or not.
you might consider that, this is a system that's been pretty well understood. And honestly, trying to articulate that sort of stitching it in on second reading, I think is not recommended. This is a system that's been operating and it's understood it. Really, the only thing you're doing is adding an August 1st date and a penalty number. So I would take the position that if it isn't broke, don't fix it on that subject, really.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Yes, Deanne?
In paragraph B, the last sentence there that appears to be a new one because it's all in caps is really awkward. Is there a way we can phrase it more, I'm going to say in normal English? It shall be unlawful for the owner to fail to disconnect water service prior to required annual operation test. And shouldn't there be some sort of a time thing that says, hey, it has to be disconnected the day before or something, it just seems too open-ended, too easy to trip somebody up by saying it has to be disconnected, but not when.
I don't know, I think it works. But now, I mean, all that's being done here is to add the penalty, and you've got to disconnect again. I guess I'd ask Ryan, sometimes you can add more complexity than you need. I guess we should hear from Ryan, and how's that work? Because annually we do go out and test, right? And what's the procedure? I mean, do people know? And I'm not sure writing it into the code in this particular way.
Writing in the code, you're right on that. Every resident has a double check backflow preventer meter. That does not need to be annually checked. It's the RPCs, it's all these other different ones that, well, and then fire suppression was a different one too, because that also falls under the annual testing. I guess I don't know what the question really is. Is there?
Well, Ryan, what's being asked is, shouldn't we say in this code when when you've got to disconnect your water service before the test? And the question I've got for you, if you let me ask it, okay, is what do you do in practice with commercial buildings? Is it well known that they're to disconnect? How's it happening now?
They need to shut it.
Right, I know they need to do that, but the question
when?
Leanne is asking is,
Does it have to be?
do they know that ahead of time? How do they know it ahead of time, and should we write it in the code? That's the question I'm trying to ask.
I would say no, that does not need to be written in the code. There is another program that the town has of the whole entire cross connection program, not written in the code. That's a few pages long that designate what we're looking for and different things like that, that would require backflow devices in people's commercial buildings. So there's a whole other program that designates dates, times, 60 days, If you fail, you have to get it repaired within, there's a whole another program that's not written in the code that defines all these other.
More like an instruction manual,
Yes,
kind of,
and that-
you know, that
for
gives
testing and all,
you step by step.
most of these tests take 15 minutes, and yes, you gotta disconnect and different things like that. For the testing annually. I think most of them are done after hours or before hours or days off and different things like that. So I guess I wouldn't put any of that in the
Okay,
code.
that makes sense to me. I mean, the code tells you the nuts and bolts of it, but it doesn't actually walk you through every step of how to do it. Doesn't need to.
If you want that, you can go through CDPHE.
Well,
And
don't need
the
it in.
towns is pretty much boilerplated right
Sure.
off of that.
Sure. Okay, does that answer your question, Deanne?
Well, that answered part of it, but I still would like to see the wording of this sentence be less stuffy and more like the rest of that paragraph says a backflow preventer will be repaired or replaced at the expense of the owner if it's found to be defective. That's nice, easy English. It shall be unlawful for the owner to fail to disconnect water service prior to required annual, it needs to say something like the owner is required to disconnect the water service. And that's why I wanted to know how long before, like, however many hours before or upon request or something like that, or face a fine.
What Ryan has said is that further instructions, more detailed instructions are available to all of these entities that are required to do this testing. They're provided with that.
Okay, well,
need
can
to
we
state it
still
in the
make
code.
this sentence easier to read? Because it's clunky, it's awkward. The rest of the paragraph is nice and in English and easy to understand. And that sentence is it needs to say something like, if the owner fails to disconnect water service according to whatever that is called that Ryan has given them already, then they face a fine or something like that, as opposed to this, it shall be unlawful. That's archaic, that's odd, it's difficult to understand.
My own personal opinion is that your suggestion overcomplicates things. I think we leave it, but
Well,
how about the rest of the board?
procedurally, what you can do is this. The way it works sort of normally on any elected board is somebody makes a motion. And if somebody wants to amend the ordinance in front, you make a motion to amend. And so Deanne can certainly offer a motion to amend. If that gets seconded and passed, then the ordinance gets fixed. And that's the kind of traditional way when there's not complete agreement on do we do this or not. It's majority rules, and you vote on it. So I guess my suggestion would be take a motion to approve the ordinance and then a motion to amend as proper motion.
Okay.
Well, in 2 seconds, I'm writing the words out so I get them right.
Meanwhile, you can probably take the motion itself and then you can open up for amendments.
So we're still in open public hearing. Do we have anybody here? Okay. We could actually go ahead and close the public hearing. And it is 6:31.
The main motion is at the bottom of the staff report.
I'll make the motion. I move to approve ordinance number 6, series 2022, an ordinance amending chapter 13.70 of the Georgetown Municipal Code concerning cross connection control regulations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 6, series 2022. And then take a motion.
Yeah, it's available for motions to amend. Is there a motion to amend?
I would like to do a motion to amend.
You have to say what it is. The proper form would be, I move to amend the motion by the addition of or the change of the sentence to read as follows. So
I would like to amend the motion to change the sentence, the final sentence in paragraph B to as follows. Should the owner fail to disconnect the water service in a timely manner to the notice that was given them, they will face fines, I'm assuming.
Okay, so
that motion needs a second.
I guess I'm trying to understand the motion. That looks, there's only one sentence in B. Are you adding a sentence?
Changing the, it shall be unlawful for the owner to fail to disconnect water service prior to the required annual operation test. Changing that to, should the owner fail to disconnect water service as notice was given, they will face a fine or a fine will be imposed. Either of those wordings works.
Well, you're the maker of the motion, so you gotta pick.
Okay, as the notice was given, or a fine will be imposed.
Okay, proper motion, there needs to be a second, however.
And it's gonna die from being ignored, fine.
I'm not seeing any second, so the motion dies. So the motion that we have is the motion to approve ordinance number 6, series 2022 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? All right. So, next we have proposed appointment to Promotions Commission.
So Craig Abrahamson appeared before the Business Promotions Committee at our November meeting.
Whatever.
Would have been the second.
Thank you. Just trying to work back.
Working backwards.
And expressed his interest in serving on the commission. So I'm bringing that forward.
And this is as a full member or alternate?
This would be as a full member in fulfilling the position.
Kyle and Katie.
They were alternates. This would be
both of them.
well. This would be as a full member for the remainder of the term, replacing Jan McCollum, who has failed to attend several meetings and is out of compliance with the code, but then he would be up for reappointment in February.
Okay.
My house.
Okay.
Mary, did you say it was Craig Abrahamson?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion that the board appoint Craig Abrahamson to the DPC.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Craig Abrahamson as a full member on the Georgetown Promotions Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I am.
Okay, you're opposed? Yes, he is. Okay, thank you, Craig. You're appointed. Okay.
You're having to step out and go to the bathroom.
Next, we go on to staff items. Did the update on Strauss Park get sent electronically yet?
Yes, it did.
Okay, great. So everybody's got that either in front of them or on their computer. So any questions on that?
And Bob apologizes, he had company tonight, otherwise.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I saw the good news that we might actually have electrical hookup. And that's great.
So, yes, Craig.
Sorry, we don't, for those of us who didn't get the email.
Here, do you want to?
Sorry. All right.
That's pretty cool.
Next we have the town administrator's report and task list updates.
First off, does anyone have any questions for what I have already submitted? Okay, I do want to go through just some updates. We've been really busy lately, so just try to get some updates. Just, we have staff meetings every Tuesday, and so sometimes I'm not able to put what was done on Tuesday in time, so I'm just going to give a quick update from the staff meeting today. Kevin is going to be moving the ice rinks from where it was last year back to where the original place was. And
Yay!
Wait a minute, you're gonna move the ice rink
yes,
where it was before?
but where the fence is higher up to prevent the puck from going out.
Because it didn't work, because I collected about 12 hockey pucks in my backyard.
Okay.
And that's why they put up that temporary orange fencing.
Yeah,
Can't remember if it's still up there now or not.
Well, the fencing could still go.
yeah, it could still stay.
There's no reason the fencing can't be
No, but
added.
I'm saying even with the fencing, I'm still finding hockey pucks.
Should sell them on eBay.
That's what I said.
Okay, so you can,
East and west.
So they're gonna,
The town was before the brand new one that we first got was running like north and south. So one of the goals was up against one.
okay,
Tiny.
so clarification, is it going to run east and west or north and south?
I don't know.
Okay,
I can't.
So we need
I don't know my
clarification on that.
dimensions yet.
So we need clarification,
So-
because that doesn't make a difference. Which. The
Yes.
direction that you're saying, yeah, it
It's
does,
essentially be closer to the shed now.
yeah,
So it's basically realigned where it was supposed to be, where the gate, so that you can come into it, because before there wasn't gates to come in. And so they're moving it back. Jody, I forgot, Martin has been, she has submitted a complete details plan, took it to the Parks and Rec, had Beth Luther review it, and they decided to move it back where it was.
do we have a visual?
I do have one in my office.
Okay,
I can go get it in just a second. So unless you want me to go get it right now.
well, or electronically.
Yeah, I do have a video. She actually drew out a whole schematic of where it would go and what things would be moved, the lights would be moved.
Okay,
So yeah, I can send that to you.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
great.
We're gonna be looking at getting some quotes to replace doors and frames down by the warming hut where the bathrooms are and at the wastewater treatment plant. There's some doors that are in very bad disarray. Unfortunately, these all are metal heavy doors that they're just messed up. They're rusted, it's hard to open.
The one on the wastewater plant never worked there after installation.
I know.
Didn't it always break?
So we're gonna
It
be.
always was opportunities.
Down there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's.
These are gonna be pricey. They're gonna be expensive because they're not normal doors.
Okay,
We're also gonna be getting dirt, just topsoil to put underneath the ice rink, because no matter where we put it, it's sloped and water as it begins to melt, certainly, during these days, it creates a little pool and it becomes a hazard. It freezes over. So we're gonna level it and then keep that seeded so that, it just grass grows next year. I asked the police why we shut Georgetown down when the interstate gets shut down. And the response I got was, when we have a lot of people coming in who wants to exit into the town, it basically, shuts down our town's main arteries where emergency services are not able to get in and out. And so, because that's the reason, that's why they shut it down. So I was kind of, help me understand what's going on. And that was the response, that it cripples our town through the arteries around the roundabout, Argentine and everything else. And so, to prevent that, so the emergency services, if they were to be called out for some reason, they would be able to get through. So that was the response. Road and Bridge,
When was that done?
well, we've had several shutdowns, like when the ice storm, not ice storm, snowstorm last week, we shut it down.
Thursday.
And then during the day, because they're taking the rocks out of the side of the fence, they're not letting people come in during that time. And so they're getting shut down in 20-minute intervals right now until they can remove the rock. And they're not doing it every day, but like today they were on and off, and they prevented to come into the town during that time. Unless you're a local, then they'll let you in, but if not, then. ESI, that's the company that's doing the improvements, the road improvements. They started today on Rose Street, so they're going to be putting the concrete pans down the sides for drainage. Next week, they're going to be at 8th Street. In fact, Deanne asked me that before the meeting, and the reason is because there's a certain equipment that they need to do that, and it's at another place. They'll have it ready to be used for next week, so that will get done next week. And I know that has been kind of a nuisance for a while, and I'm sorry. It's all I can say is we're trying the best we can. It's really out of our control. It's because this company it's based on their scheduling and having the right equipment to do it. But it will be done, I've been rest assured. Christmas lights, thank goodness, have been delivered, and they're in the process of being assembled. It's not the kind that's already put together, so we have to put them together. But Jen Jordan is working on getting volunteers so that we can put all the stuff up and be ready before Christmas lighting. We are working on getting backhoe quotes, like I've been saying in the things. It's tough, so they're expensive, and we're trying. At first, it was a lease, just a perpetual lease program, and that's not going to work with our funding because it's not ours. It's not a capital improvement. So that we're looking at lease to own and brand new versus newly, or just barely gently used. Kind of, they're just hard to find. So that's that. Ryan has been helping me extensively with Excel, which I have a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. This is not a big meeting. It's just to kind of catch me up on what their discussions have been. And I even as I was coming here and I checked my email and saw that Christine Johnson from Excel has sent me 2 emails stating that they are submitting plans for testing. So it is working. And Deanne, we are also asking for environmental impact studies. So just letting you know, that's been requested. We are going to be doing a staff party the 14th of December for Christmas. And that is going to be at the community center at 6 p.m.
Boards too.
Yes, boards and commissions.
What's the date?
The 16th?
The 14th.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
you.
Wednesday.
Okay.
We just moved trivia there.
So it'll be with, I'm sorry, you said boards and commissions. Okay.
Yeah,
December or November?
December.
December.
It'll be a December Christmas party.
Okay.
That's just from that time. I'm assuming you read the report, so I won't go through that. We did get a letter from Christy Morrell, and she is in the process of changing out the little flower barrels. And so you'll see that with holiday theme, garlands and things like that. We have still code amendments that we're working on, which is in my report, but I got more details if you want to know more. We're still in the hopper on many of them. And so we have a planning commission hearing coming up that will discuss some of these. So I can go in details if you want, but I've got lots of other things to talk about to you. The Argentine North project. So where we are is CDOT has finally given us the award letter in order to start moving forward, which is a great thing. It's an exhaustive contract, and I've sent it to Jerry for him to review. Cindy Neely has already spent hours going through, recognizing some things that need to be corrected from the contract, which Jerry can confirm, and he may find other things too. But this is we're on par. So this is great. We're ahead of the curve because we've already contacted and did the RFP, though we've not officially selected, but we're working mainly with one company now that has agreed to do a price, which was already in the contract originally with the same price. So that's that. The Fire Authority Board, I felt like it's probably necessary just to go through the changes that was agreed upon. This was a meeting with the Fire Board, with the representatives on the committee, which are municipalities. And so this, Lynette and I were on that conversation. It was very interesting. We went through where we disagreed, and then basically heard basically why this is why they felt like it was so important for them to present this change. And then we went into subcommittees to discuss it more. And then either we came back with an agreement that we would accept their change, or we had a reason why we didn't want that, and then we amended it again. So the good thing is we came to an agreement. So that's the summary. The area that Lynette had mentioned last time in section 6-9, we were originally not in agreement, and this had to do with some of the language of making the administrator, the county administrator, the one who is the centerpiece to make the decisions and steer it. And what we had decided that we would consent to that, and it's not a big deal because this is just a committee. It's not the fire board per se, but it is a committee that represents them. And what was really important was to add funding language in there so we can know for sure what that's going to be. And section 7-3, we originally did not agree, and this had to deal with those members of where they, how they can be part of this. How do you have to live in the district or not? And they wanted to take that out. And we concluded that residents within the fire authority jurisdiction. And so those can be voting members. So that was agreed upon. In section 7-5, we first did not approve to that, but then we changed and said, if we can add a timeline that concluded that it's by the next board meeting of the party by 14 days to the rest of the parties, and they all agreed to that.
That was to break the tie vote.
Okay.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah. The next one was under funding. There's section 16. It talked about a mill levy, and they were talking about, at first they took it out so that you can make it as high as you want. And after much discussion, Empire swayed everyone to put a cap of 10 mills. So it could not exceed 10 mills. This contract would then be renewed in 2 years. And so they felt like that was still fine to redo it again if it's necessary to go higher. As far as the pension section in section 32, it was very unclear. There is a pension plan already part of this, and this kind of muddied it a little bit. And so we said, take the whole section out because it doesn't add anything to what was already communicated. The terms of agreement, what we agreed as a whole was 2-year agreement with an automatic 2-year renewal extension without changes, as long as there's a 4 out of 5 parties that agree. And so that we would do that automatically. And then there is in section 36, where they were talking about transferring a party if something were to happen to the ESD. And so if a party decides to dissolve, would it go there? And they were making the amendment to go into the ESD that they kind of consume their vote. And what was agreed that this should trigger an automatic renegotiation of the contract. Instead of that, it should just automatically be renegotiated. And that was it. So everything else we came to an agreement, but.
So, and because this has to be all signed and sealed and delivered by the end of the year, I'm hoping we have a nice clean revision by our next meeting. If not, the meeting after that, I don't really want to leave it till the very end.
No.
Yeah.
We'll put a little pressure on.
So the last update I want to give you is Bighorn Crossing. So I have reached out to Kirk multiple times for 6 months now to get his property cleaned up. And he's always given me a commitment that it's going to be taken care of. And I sent 2 weeks ago a email and a text saying I'm I contacted the company that you said was gonna do it, and they basically said, no one's contacted me. And so I said, if this is not corrected immediately, I will start violations, citing for violations. And immediately he called the company. They came out, we walked through the site, and today they were out there cleaning it up. And so I'm working now with this company. They are part owners of the development, so they've been brought back to it. So there's like 3 owners of the development now. So it's good news. So we walked the site, they're cleaning up all the debris, all the trash, including old construction materials that were left. And they've agreed to take down the big mound of dirt that's closest to Bighorn Apartments. And Craig also has been part of the process today. He came on the site to confirm, and also just his past experience had been there from the beginning, so it was very helpful. We had code enforcement out today too, so our officer was out and is going to be working with Bighorn Crossing, the owners of the townhomes, because there's violations all over that too. So in fact, it caused me to pull the old contract to review it. So Jerry and I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I went through all of the documents that were important to find where they're in violation, and that the hotel was supposed to be managing the hospitality units. And this has been an issue for a long time that we've just dropped the ball on. And I dug through all the research and found this was only supposed to be for 6 months, and they could apply for an extension, which they never did. And so anyways, this is going on. I called, I believe her name is Brittany Patel, and she agreed to meet with me on Monday. I said, before we start legal paperwork and getting all this stuff, we need to talk. And she agreed to talk with me. So that's good news. We're moving in a direction to kind of get these things resolved that we haven't in a while. So that's it.
Okay. Wonderful. Anybody else have anything to bring up? Yes, Deanne.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I keep muting it because I start coughing and then you forget to turn it back on again. Are we going to have the banners looking better by the ones on Argentine by Christmas market? Because I looked at them today. There's ripped and ragged ones. They don't look any good to start with, and you can't read anything on them because whatever idiot put the colors in, you just can't read what they're supposed to say unless you stop your car, which is, traffic violations and dangerous. And I'm just wondering, it's really, we'd be better off not having anything up than having all of those raggedy, awful looking things on Argentine where people see them first thing when they come in town. Christmas markets are big deal, and it's putting a real bad foot forward, especially considering we're going to have even though it'll be much better than it is at the moment, we're going to have construction downtown,
Okay, yeah, I think you had addressed that it was either in your task list.
Yeah.
That the banners are due soon, and we'll do the best we can here. There's a lot of stuff to put out.
This week or next week?
They should be ready to be picked up this week.
Okay.
And
take a look at what Argentine looks like. It is crappy. Some of those are just rags hanging there. It's just awful.
That's the real reason the police are turning people around, not the weather. Those banners.
But those are just, I don't know, they look junky. It looks like we don't care. The colors are bad on them too. They don't stand out. They're dreary.
Okay. All righty. Anything else? Okay. If that's all we have for tonight, we can take a motion to adjourn.
second.
It is 6:56 p.m. and all in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
It's before 7 o'clock.
I know, but we're still here.
Budget work session coming, so Thank you all.
I move that we.
Are you staying here?
I don't.
You wanted me to go with you. Well, yes, yeah.
So we can pick a.
Oh,
We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Got a minute.
Yeah.
Turn off the Zoom.
But I need to back up, because I was just.
Do we have an executive session tonight or a work session?
Yeah, budget session.
Yeah.
Session on the budget.
Thanks, Ryan.
okay. Deanne has a question, and unless everybody's quiet, I can't hear her. Yes?
I will need a link for the session we're going into.
Stay in this one. Don't go away. Just stay here.
Okay,
Stay.
we'll be right back.
Thank you.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
I mean, seriously.
So you better for coming and then.
Well, they did.
Thank you, Jen.
I mean, to her point, if you read, there's like, if you just drive by it, yeah. You read like only half of it.
Well, we didn't read their mind. I was like, oh,
I'm just saying.
let's go out there. Well, you know, okay.
It's the real risk.
There was one person.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was all. I thought she did.
So that I probably had a third.
Calling them the community service.
Right.
They're not full-fledged police, they're gonna handle code enforcement and for the time-consuming stuff that drags our police away from doing what they're
You know, this keeps your life.
training.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's what.
It is.
It's what the admire.
Well, I don't know. But. This is more than because. Huh?
You can get lost.
No, I think Ryan's got a good camera. I don't think he needs.
Well, I mean, some of these things.
He's got it under
Yeah.
control, you know, the market spread.
6 months.
Write a ticket.
See, doing better.
Yeah, I know, right.
They did want to put a bug in your ear about, and if I mentioned it.
You're at corner office.
Better. So that you get- Money in personnel. Placement, removal, and. Spray. It's probably been this year, there's been no sponsor. Spray.
You have no idea how. It is.
The families that are in.
I mean, there's nothing that I would.
I would hate to lose
It's so disgusting.
any one of. So you can be in the back. Mentioned it, and there they were. Rick's. And he came on his April and so. Trying. I didn't get that slide next year. Yeah. Put it on something. Remind me.
Well, I want to mention it to Steve Collins. And say.
New draft brings that.
Yeah, say, give me to be let Beth know, all I have to do is sit back and make sure. It's not being. You know, the one. I like to pay him in the butt. A little bit better.
And spring is usually.
Oh, I won't stand for the forums. I won't stand in the street. I have to test, make sure it's not 3 bags of hot cider, 3 bags of hot cocoa, and make sure I'm not sure that I'm treated. I had to be careful. I know.
You know.
That's what you need. I mean, there's been people that just, yeah. Not key, but.
Is there a probability that that's
And then
could
just
catch
let-
that?
There's one day where I'm like, I'm just gonna wait to go home. And I walk in the bathroom and I
And
see
it'll
this.
spread either
Was that
to
too-
the ones in Library
And then it's
Park
like-
or from the ones in
I'm just
Library Park. And so.
I can't, I'm not gonna call.
So
Catherine. That's
we
bad.
just don't wanna take a chance to show.
She's already paid her rent. So it's like,
It's the large spruce trees that you're.
Most.
Yes.
Especially in the summertime.
City.
Yeah.
You hold your breath.
And then you can get. So you do the spring. They do it's not good,
Are we?
but you gotta contact the. Are we 5 minutes? We're done? Yep, 7:04. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and hammer into the budget.
Can we start with, if you don't mind, going over the changes that you requested last time and what has done to the numbers and all that,
Sure.
if that's fine, and then we'll go to water. Because water.
You're the boss.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, take it slow though.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had an extra part-time parks person to add. We had an extra admin staff to add.
You're gonna jump around on us here.
I'm gonna talk about the additions first. And
Okay,
then we'll
Just direct us to where you, what page you want us to go to when you're talking
Okay.
about it.
we get- yeah. The erection of the road and bridge shed. Road and bridge backhoe. And water sewer backhoe. And a generator. Okay. Of those items, everything pretty much is in there except for the generator.
For the
And
town hall.
for the town hall. I didn't get that quote till after this was given to, Jennifer to put in your packets. But Rick did get a quote. Doesn't really say what size it is. but-
15 cc or something. That's what John. KW.
Kilowatt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it, because I can't read this right.
Yeah.
It was $6,267 plus another $2,500 for battery shipping and startup commissioning.
How's it run with, what's it run with?
It would be.
Natural gas or diesel?
Yes.
I believe it's natural gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever we have here in the building is what they would. Connected.
Gotcha.
And is that coming out of what?
Is that
Where?
administration or?
I did not, that is one of the items I did not
No.
put in here yet. Because I did not have the
Well,
quote.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but where were you going to put it? Have we decided?
That, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Okay. So with I've gotten several other items since the second draft has been created, so
Okay.
we'll go over that as it comes. But from the first draft, if we just look at general fund, we were over, we were digging into the reserves by 350,000.
So wait, so give us a
change.
line, please, so I can, so if
Um,
I'm looking at draft 2, because I don't have draft 1.
Okay, so go under the proposed column under general fund, which is the
Okay.
first item.
Yep.
And you want revenue over expenditures.
Okay.
Okay, last time it was 350,335. With the changes that came out of general fund, it brought it to 666,550
Okay.
that were going into reserve.
Okay.
The only thing that I feel I should point out is, yes, we have a healthy ending fund balance. But with these items, the more we dig in, if we're ever going to get a larger building, we're going to need to have the cash ready for a grant match to get out. So just, I know the fund balance is healthy right now, but depending on how far out in the future that is.
What do we think that amount would be minimum?
City Hall.
Yeah,
Four to 5 million.
but what would we have to have?
20%, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 1 million.
I mean, depending, are we using an existing building that we own, like, I mean, the fire
Right.
station, or, you know, that would be less
But so-
expensive than having to build from the ground up on a piece of land.
But so we're talking, we need about 1 million ready to tap into.
I would say that would be safe.
Yeah, that-
Okay, yeah, just so, I mean, so when we look at this 1.2, yeah, exactly, it's, okay, that's all I want to know, thank you.
and it could be a lot better,
Oh, I'm sure,
but it probably won't.
it won't be,
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna get less expensive.
yeah, we should have done this 5 years ago, right?
Good, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah,
You can build it for us?
yeah,
Well, I think we'll all be in recession, so I'll probably be begging for work.
Okay, good.
okay, we all heard it, can we make sure it's on tape?
So,
That's amazing. It's on tape.
the extra admin personnel, I put in as, I don't know, did you share your job description with them?
I did not.
Okay, he had a salary range of, what was it, 60 to 75?
No, I put 50 to 75.
50, 75,
Based on experience.
right,
qualifications.
so I put it in the budget as at 75, just to be safe.
Okay.
What lines now?
It would be under admin, general fund. General fund admin, and there was 4 pages,
Yeah,
and
Tim's on.
1045. 110.
And that position, just to let you know,
Oh,
is an assistant to the administrator.
Right.
And so it basically would, there's 3 positions I looked at: assistant administrator, assistant to the administrator, and special projects manager. And I took the middle, because we want someone with experience, but someone who can do high level administration. So
So that's already in this number that we given us.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
that's in the 242.
yes.
Okay. That's fine.
All right, well, I guess you can share this with them tomorrow, your
Okay.
job description that you came.
I'll email it to you.
Did not do anything with water sewer backhoe because they have, I mean, he can get it this year, he can get it next year. They've got the cash reserve set aside for equipment, no problem. He did, Ryan did come up with, a gently used one. I'm trying to find it, I have a bunch. There it is. I mean, one that he did come across, it was 108,000 and it's a 2018 with 900,000 on it.
Right. Well, it could be 140.
Oh, I think they're even more than that.
Depends on what you're getting on the thing. Are they just getting a basic, they just want a basic background?
This is the one that Ryan was looking for, and he did the used today.
Is that the slightly used?
Yeah, 900 hours. Greg, is 900 hours a lot? Okay. So it's slightly used, yes.
108,000?
Mhm.
Wow.
So that doesn't even clean out his.
Do you want one too?
Well, we had another one, Sunday, ask Brian if he can find another one. Because if he found that fast,
Well, I mean, okay.
see what I'm
so-
saying?
Well. We'll see if there's another one.
You're spending more money than she wants to give you.
Maybe get with number.
Okay, so,
160.
Oh, okay.
so, I guess there was some misunderstanding with Scott and I have a couple things here that he gave me, but he was looking at signing a contract with Wagner Cat, or maybe it was John Deere, I don't remember, Conan, I guess.
Yes, John.
To just get a new one every 4 years, and it's like a continual lease.
Yeah.
And I go, no. You're supposed to be looking at slightly used, new work, So then today, I got the one that he sent this afternoon was 153,000, but it doesn't, it doesn't even say how many hours are on it or
Probably a new.
what year.
Do we put considerable more use to one over the other?
Yes.
I mean, I would assume so.
As far as over the other.
Well, from the wastewater treatment. From
Wastewater does not use it, I don't think, as often as Road and Bridge would use it. I mean, they both need one.
Right, no, I understand.
It's working. If we need one.
Yeah.
So it should be a road, so wastewater, in my mind, should be a good backup, even if it's slightly used. But road and bridge, you have a
It's more
great
consistent use.
Or a bigger
Yeah.
one.
daily, I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, but
So
not the road bridge guy.
let me tell you what I did in this draft too. So because I had none of this information when this was put together, I went ahead, if you go to about halfway through, sales tax capital improvement.
Can you please say that again? I couldn't understand it.
Go to sales tax capital improvement fund, which is 40, like 4030 is on the top of the page. And I went ahead and put in down towards the bottom of the page, 404745. A new backhoe for road and bridge. I put it in as 150,000, like we were going to pay cash for it, which probably is not going to happen. But I don't have any loan information. We did not have time to get any of that available. I would think that it's probably going to be about 2,500 a month from looking from what Scott gave me today. So, and then back to the summary pages. You go to the second page, sales tax capital improvement. So that 150 total is mixed in with your expenses.
Okay.
So that could come down. The ending fund balance of 475 is a couple $100,000 less than the first draft. Obviously, because we put 150,000 in there that wasn't there before. But with the amendment to our supplemental today, that actually is going to be right around 375 ending fund balance, and that will all be corrected on this next one.
And what you're saying is with the backhoe, it could be 120,000 more, depending on what agreement we could get.
Right, I mean, if we're gonna do payments, yeah, so it's not gonna be the full 150 that I put in there. I'm gonna put it there for a placeholder to show you that. And then the extra part-time parks person that you asked for, put that in there, so we have 2 part-times and 1 year-round full-time.
And where is what number is this at?
Parks and Rec, 1065 in general fund.
Then do 2 part-time.
Two part-times, 1
2 part-time seasons.
Right.
And
So really, on the notice that it includes 2 part-time seasonal.
What we say we're getting us for 20,000 each or something. Each seasonal is worth how much?
8,000.
8,000.
Yeah.
I think it's like $20 an hour.
Yeah, so don't put your day job.
Maybe I can push this up just a little. You didn't hear that, correct? Excellent.
And then
You can go.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping around so much, but back in sales tax capital improvement 40s, I did add the erection of the shed, and I put it in at 30,000.
Where
Where
is that?
Where?
4730.
Okay. Oh, so that's part of the 75 that's in there. Okay.
And that was an ad from the last time.
That's the road and bridge.
So that includes 30K for.
75, but she added a road.
Oh, I see.
Well, the 30 is in the 75.
Yes.
Right,
Good.
that includes the 30 for the.
I had a question mark there going, what is that extra 30 for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were the changes. Like I said, I did not put in the generator.
Okay.
If you would like it added, or it's gonna be tight if you try to put it under sales tax capital improvement. it would have to go probably under general fund, under building maintenance. Rick and I had talked also the equipment that we're getting for the server should been any issues with the server. And as far as electricity going out, if it's out, it's probably gonna be out all over town. And do we really need it to be up here? If county's closed because of weather, so are we. I don't know.
We have battery backup on the servers. that-
Yes, and it will be new. I mean, this is all in the budget already for upgrades for IT.
I think we delay on it.
Yeah, I would check that, we've got the use that, I mean, insurance is great, but I don't think we're gonna need it that much. Things shut down, they're shut down. Okay. I mean,
I like the idea of having a good big generator just so that if it is out for a long time, that we can offer assistance to some of our dependent people who need oxygen machines run and the like.
I think that's a great compassionate idea, but if we're going to put ourselves in a position where we're running that type of a center, I think we need to look at some kind of a grant or get into the county with it. That doesn't just fall on us to fork out $10,000 on a what if situation. And most people who are running on oxygen, DN or anything else typically have a backup in their home. If they're plugged in, they've got their portable tanks or whatever when they get out in the car and drive to King Soopers. So, I mean, I think we could look at other places if that's the only reason or the main reason that we would be doing this.
Some building like the community center where they could go and be warm as well as get served.
And I think just to note too, that this was a quote. And it was not an official, like, we're gonna buy it now. And he tried to give us an estimate, knowing good and well that this is probably low on the quote.
Okay.
Very low.
Yeah.
Okay.
When's a good time to talk about getting the sound system straightened out in the room?
I can offer up what information I have to have a Zoom room.
What is that? What would that constitute?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. This is IT people.
No,
talking. So I believe that was $10,000. So we took it off the quote.
I don't disagree that we need better. A better hybrid situation to offer meeting commissions, board meetings, whatever to the public. It doesn't seem to be a easy fix for this particular room. And yet we know of so many other buildings in this town where they seem to have a working capability to do that. And I would rather see us look into how we could borrow that space, have some kind of an agreement on that space, pay for that space in a minimal way, or maybe it ends up being the same as a Zoom room, and then all of a sudden we look at a Zoom room. I like to say that.
I just know we got to get this straightened up because the recordings are, I've been told over and over again, there are official record of the meetings, and there are just too many places where, like right now, Mary's talking to you guys in the room. Sometimes that doesn't come over the microphone because her back's to it. And we really and you get so much echo, and if we've got more than one person talking, it's just a garbled up mess. And at some point, it may be really important to be able to differentiate.
Well, I'll give a comment real quick. One thing that we started doing is doing an audio recording. So that we're doing the Zoom and the audio so that we can record and make sure that we're not missing something when she goes back to do minutes. It's still clear from the audio recording.
Awesome.
I just know I tried to listen to the business promotions meeting from a couple days ago, and there were too many places where it was just messed up. I don't mind the idea of like if we go over to the Heritage Center and use their equipment, but we got to do something because our recordings aren't good enough to be a record of our meetings.
Okay.
This is the big time. We are not rehearsing, you know?
Well, the recordings aren't the official document.
So do we want to go ahead and put, I mean, on the theory that it could be approximately 10,000, do we want to put 10,000?
Yes.
All it says is.
It's hard to answer that question because we've not really gone exhaustive to see if we can find cheaper ways. It's just when we did the audit, when they were here for the IT audit, they were looking at, okay, this will cost 10 grand if we were to create a Zoom room here.
Okay.
And I'm reluctant that we can find some better alternatives.
I just know, I mean, Jen's had several different people in to help with the sound
Right.
and visual. And they just say, most of them say it's because the acoustics in here just don't. And then when you can turn stuff up, then you get the feedback. So,
well, but if we build it into the budget, we could continue to look into making improvements or scheduling it in a place that has better audio.
so either that, or if we come up with a better place, we can always do a supplemental. I mean, if
Sure, I mean,
I'm just running too like acoustic panels. What if we were to look at that? That would at least help it wouldn't bounce off the walls.
Doesn't work.
So for anyone who cares, according to Google, a Zoom room is a software-based room system that provides an integrated experience for audio conferencing, wireless screen sharing, and video conferencing. Zoom rooms can be used for room-only attendees or remote attendees. Sounds like we're more relying on the technology and having computers in front of us than anything else. That's all it does. Would be a better option. Zoom, they're ideal for individual users, while Zoom rooms will be a better option for conference room settings where multiple people are attending or viewing a meeting in the same physical location. That almost doesn't sound like that would fit the need that we have.
I think we should handle it with a supplemental after we research some more.
okay, fine with me.
I think there should be money put in there, and if we don't use it, far out, you know? We got to plan for it though, because this is really bad. We've got a whole year almost of garbled up meetings.
What do you think?
Well, I think she's kind of right. I think this is the new normal.
Plan
With the
for it?
pandemic, everybody ought to use Zoom. And sometimes it's convenient, like it's like Rich is wherever he is. Physically 10 years, so he does right there. Yeah, I know. I said, well, he's right there.
He's right.
So it's something that we.
I kind of feel like you build it in, and then if you end up not using it because you figured out some other way, then great, but,
So you're suggesting to put the 10,000 in?
just for a starting figure,
Yeah.
at least, it's what we have to work with. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, just, you know, if we don't use it, I mean, but you know, what if we do need to use it?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Rich, what do you think?
I think that's just fine, and I think technology keeps advancing. We don't know 6 months from now if there's something even better. That we, and then if you have the money, you can go ahead and invest in it.
But what's your preference? Putting it into a line item or doing a supplemental when we figure it out?
I would put it in so you have a starting point.
Okay, okay. What do you think, John?
I'm outvoted.
Okay, okay. All right.
Should we bring in a cup and a string?
Go old school, yeah.
I see him though.
Okay, cool. All righty.
Okay.
Anything else, Mary?
Then so I'm going to, for now, just leave in the 150,000 for road and bridge.
Okay.
Backhoe in, sales tax capital improvement, unless we can come up with some numbers for financing, so what it would be per year, otherwise we'll just leave that in there. Okay, I guess we can move along. Any other changes you wanted for general fund or?
How have we done it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Besides the statutes of
All right, so then I wanted to just touch base and talk on promotions for a second. Well,
I thought we were gonna do, okay, go ahead.
well, we didn't get to this one last.
I realize, and that's why we're doing a special work session next time.
Well, this kind of
Okay.
leads into it.
Okay.
Information.
Good segue. Excellent.
Okay.
So yes, we'll know tomorrow whether or not the lodging fund.
Midnight tonight.
Well, okay, you're gonna stay up.
I'm not saying that.
But Rick was explaining to me that Jerry had said to him, when it passes, if it passes, that money should not be spent for 2 years.
Yeah.
So there's really no changing promotions budget for 2023. And I was unaware, well, I guess I kind of remember Jerry saying that, but
I do.
it can't be spent, or it shouldn't be spent
Right.
for. Explain why.
Because they have up to 2 years to contest or sue. And then we have to give all the money back. We can still collect it, but we should be putting it in a pot that's not being touched.
This is the one at the end of the ring.
Okay.
Next to the leprechaun.
I can understand that way of thinking, but I also think that strangulates us for 2 years. Assuming that we're collecting those funds, I think there's been, I know the county feels that when our lodging tax is implemented, that it's in addition to them collecting funds also. And we may be facing a different perspective if we're collecting 2% from the town for our lodging tax, and the county is expecting and collecting 2% county lodging tax. So if we're going to continue with that for a couple of years, or if the county feels that that's the position that they can take, then what? Then where do we go?
That I don't know.
And I don't believe that necessarily this work session is the place to iron all those out. I certainly don't have the answers. You know, we're going to need some more legal expertise on that.
I just wanted to make sure that I was not the only one in the dark.
Yeah, no, I get all that, and you know, but I think we need to wait until tomorrow or midnight.
Well, true.
Just to expound on that, because that's a very accurate assessment of how the county's viewing this. And including the conversations that I've had, that they are viewing it as an occupation tax. And that, which means they believe they have the right to collect it just as we do, but it would be an addition tax, 2% to 4%, 4%. Now, what makes it interesting is Mary and I received a letter from the Colorado Department of Revenue that said, what's your intentions? Or is your intention for us to collect? Because we don't do that. And we're going to contact the county to make sure they understand what this means. So it appeared by the letter that they were viewing it as an occupation tax. Because they're like, and they even wrote down occupation tax, even though that's not what our intention is, because we didn't say occupation tax in the ballot language. It says lodging tax, which means home rule. That's where we're going after, home rule status, or equivalent to a home rule status. And so it does appear that the Department of Revenue is viewing it as an occupation tax, but they wanted to understand how and what authority do we have to do that, which it means they don't understand our charter language, which then what they were asking for was, I need you to clarify this from your attorney so that they can understand. So, which is interesting because your point's very valid. If this is the way they're interpreting this, they're not collecting it, which means your county's gonna have to collect it, and they're gonna continue to collect this.
But we also knew, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was my understanding that when this lodging tax is implemented for the town of Georgetown, that we are collecting that.
Correct.
We have to, because the due our.
And which was a totally separate issue than all the other hoopla that we
Originally.
have, with the county's interpretation of it. So, we've got several different issues going here. It's still, and I would go back to my original. I can't believe that we would take a position that we would be collecting funds for 2 years and not utilizing those funds. There has to be some means to use, improve, and provide to our community what we said we were going to do. Now, maybe we're going to be a little bit on the conservative side, not go with the money, but we're talking a couple $100,000. So what are we talking for? $600,000? We're just going to let and sit collect what 2% interest or whatever the going rate is now. So yeah.
It almost feels like we probably need to wait and then have another discussion with Barry and saying what's now.
Well, let's see what happens, at 8 a.m. tomorrow or whatever. So okay, but yes, we're
we have to, Jerry and I were gonna have another conversation of how to craft that letter back to the Department of Revenue.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably the easiest one. You were gonna talk like anyway. So
Okay.
Okay,
Moving right along to water fund.
okay, what numbers are we on?
51.
Thank you.
Not a lot of changes. His Ryan's budget's usually pretty status quo, other than chemicals right now. We did put in for the rec center pass for employees, which I think they upped it to like $5 a visit, but there's not that many of us that use it.
Don't they bill per use? It's not like we're paying up front, they just bill it and use it, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, that's good.
So, and they've gotten theirs to come down, or some people were going in there and just signing, saying they were employees, even though they weren't on the list. And please. Anyway, we have cards now, and there's 2 Loveland ski passes.
It's supposed to be 12, wasn't it?
Loveland ski passes, yeah, something like that.
You know what, we're taking care of you.
Is this for employees only or board members too?
It's for staff.
Just used to have.
We don't get anything, dude. There's no cars.
I don't know.
No.
That's what you're getting.
I was interested in the rec pass.
Rough. It's a cruel world.
Just sing the theme song of the Gilligan's Island, and that's what it's like to be a selectman.
But we appreciate you.
The big box of appreciation downstairs. The big, yeah.
It's the holiday again. The appreciation will be.
Why not? We just put it out.
Right?
You have to wear a tux.
You don't
You
have,
have to serve.
you don't have to contribute to the, participate in the white oak.
No.
I swear.
Sorry.
Ryan's big, well, so water pretty much status quo.
Always. It's the greatest.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing about Ryan. That's why.
And sewer is only, you know, the sludge removal, John Farms, open through the roof, chemicals through the roof. And his big project is in sewer capital improvement, which is the 57, last page, front side, for his building.
Okay.
Part of it's this year, part of it next year. And, other than that, he's not, I think he's waiting for maybe 2024 when the cops ask for new trucks so they can get some of them.
He can get there.
Yeah.
And you got him to agree to one more year. Yeah.
Please.
The place.
Well, they didn't really agree.
Twisted it, there are.
You just told him one more year.
I told Brady, yeah, one more year.
He said they put paddles on the side of the car.
Although I heard him pull away.
Maybe.
But-
Oh, maybe.
I know, no, he's taking it in.
Nothing to see here. You will agree. She's the boss of the.
Any questions?
Oh, yeah, right. Keep telling us that.
Any questions?
No question.
Any comments?
It was a lot more than 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, I should have talked faster. Any other changes you want to see before, because, well, we'll have one. A meeting next Tuesday, another
Correct.
work session, unless we don't need it. I mean,
We've never reviewed the BPC budget though, whether it's the inexpensive.
Well, what I would like to do, well, you know, if the lodging tax ballot measure passes, then let's figure out where that anticipated revenue is gonna get thrown in, and, you know, how the budget looks from there. And then if you could come up with a summary of all of the, I mean, that's just kind of advance work for the public hearing, because you're gonna need to summarize that kind of thing for the public hearing. So if we could summarize the things that we've talked about in the work sessions, things that we added, things we increased, that kind of thing. And that
as a whole,
sure,
okay.
sure. And then that should make the work session go quick and smooth, and we can deal with anything in promotions that we haven't tackled and need to discuss. How's that sound?
Fine, but I mean, I have a question like before that work session. So all of the monies from lodging tax is not going to promotions.
Correct.
Half,
Okay.
correct?
Well, I don't know the exact percentage, but the
I
plan,
mean,
the promotion, when promotions presented two budgets.
Right.
To you.
no, one.
Well, there was
One to stay the same
the,
and one to
yeah,
get everything.
status quo or based on the lodging tax.
Okay, I've not seen the one based on the lodging. tax.
Okay, well, it's
Okay,
it's there for, yeah,
Okay.
to put eyes on. That did not include the entire $225,000 that is anticipated on the lodging tax. So yes, there are additional funds then that we need to distribute.
So I can get an accurate draft 3, that other half. If this passes this evening. I'm assuming should go
Your call.
into a possible new fund for housing. Affordable housing, what would you like it to?
Well, it needs to accommodate any of those uses that were listed on the ballot. So, I mean, and board's discretion on how that would be used. So I'm not sure how you're gonna build it.
How would you like it worded? You know,
The
I
New
know what-
Horizon Fund,
I'm sorry.
New Horizon Fund.
That's great, Rob.
It's like, where did it come from? The 17 House bill that.
That one pertains to county lodging, and so we were very similar in what we could use those funds for, but it's, I don't know as if we cited every.
We didn't cite everything
Exactly.
that was in that House bill, but we need to build a line item that would,
I think it needs to be a completely separate fund, so when that money's coming in. X amount, whether it be 50%,
Yeah.
I know that goes into promotions revenue. The other 50%, as it comes in, it's being split. Promotions and
okay,
new actual fund, but I'd like to know what you would like
To call
it. Yes, thank you.
So we would have, okay, I get that, and that makes sense. But we can still put that together without maybe having the name, or let's look at the balance.
So to put it together,
Yeah,
I have to have it. So, well, we'll talk then
Fund X.
before, after tomorrow morning,
yeah,
before Friday.
sure,
Okay, cool.
okay. Okay,
Okay.
Fund and games.
that's, oh, that's what we're calling it. Hey, fun.
Trivia funds. Trivia funds.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
No.
Put your hand in it.
So,
just go ahead.
now, I will have a third draft. A few things cleaned up. I will probably incorporate those supplementals in the, current year budget numbers. I'll just backdate them and put them in here just so we can make sure
Okay.
everything in line. So that one will be for our meeting Tuesday.
Okay. And since we didn't mention it, just for the record, I mean, there is that agency CDOT fund that is just a pass through for whatever CDOT gives. Because they can't give it directly to
Visitors.
the visitor center, it comes through the town and then gets distributed to the visitor center for operation of the public restrooms down there.
After you fight for 3 months to get it.
Sure. But
At least they're removing the.
No easy.
So. That's the only fund we hadn't talked about at all. So, okay. Any other comments, questions before we adjourn the work session?
I have a question. Rick,
Yes.
you're gonna send that job description out?
Yes, and I'm also sending the ice rink site plan to.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like a site plan too, please.
Yeah, I will, I'll send it to everyone.
Thank you.
I'm good. I don't care what happens to Paul.
But he wants a hockey puck.
Well, you can pay for it.
Expensive.
I'm concerned of hitting the tiny house window,
That's cool.
because those are original windows.
If you get it back signed by Bobby Hall, like this says.
That's what I want.
Right.
Adjourn.
Yeah, it's 7:51. Thanks, everybody.